Nobel Prize for Rabindranath Tagore in 1913. Some untold stories. Rabindranath Tagore was the greatest of all great Bengali writers. But it is sad to note that the learned Bengali readers and writers kept many facts about Tagore's winning of Nobel Prize in 1913 are kept secret. Some such facts are here. Rabindranath Tagore was more than many Nobel Laureates. But his winning of the Nobel Prize was a political consolation for the Hindu terrorist movements launched in Bengal in the early days of the 20th century. Rabindranath Tagore was not the recommendation of the Nobel Committee. The Nobel Committee named somebody else. The name of Rabindranath Tagore was not even in the short list of the Nobel Committee. Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize neither as a Bengali nor as an Indian. He was awarded the prize as an Anglo-Indian. Rabindranath Tagore never made any so-called prize-receiving speech. Rabindranath Tagore only sent a two-line prize acceptance message. The prize was accepted by the British ambassador and it was delivered to the poet in Calcutta. It appears from the information, now available, that Rabindranath Tagore was awarded Nobel Prize in consideration of his successful attempt to intermingle the Western Christian Hindu philosophy. I shall very much welcome exact and objective reply from the esteemed readers of this group. I have been planning to publish a very small book on the subject Nobel Prize for Rabindranath Tagore in 1913. Some untold stories. All the points raised in my message are based on facts. But I would like to get more information on the subject. Help from others will greatly help in the publication of the book with more information. However, for the information of all concerned, I would like to point out that Rabindranath was a Brahmo, or reformed group of Brahmins of the so-called Hindu community of India. The word Hindu never existed to identify any religion before the emergence of the British Raj in India. It was invented by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in collaboration with the British colonial rulers. This the Britishers did with a view to getting the united massive force together against the defeated Muslim rulers of the then India. As such, until the early last century, we find that 99% civil servants, lawyers, judges, engineers, doctors, professors etc. under the British Raj in India were from the Hindu community only. The fourth-class employees like peons, messengers, bearers or guards are not included. Brahmos allowed the conversion of even the low-caste Sudras. But in fact, all Brahmos were Hindus. This was well understood by the British rulers of India. Rabindranath Tagore was not very vast in literary productions in the first decade of the last century. In fact, excepting the limited 250-copy English edition of Gitanjali, hardly there was any English version of Rabindranath Tagore's other books. Not to speak of any Asian, until 1913 even any American was not awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. Rabindranath Tagore was in the spiritual lineage of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna and others. In the lyrical lineage he was obviously reflecting D.L. Roy, the Lawn Fakir, Atal Prasad Sen and others. Rabindranath Tagore was a pro-British wealthy successor to the vast property left by his grandfather Rabindranath Tagore. In the first decade of the 20th century he was the leading most Bengali intellectual friend of the British rulers in India. During the last decades of the 19th century and in the early 20th century there were popular uprisings, known as the terrorist movement in Bengal. Khudiram Bose was young recruit by such leaders of terrorist movement in Bengal. The British rulers were very much disturbed by the widespread activities of the volunteers of terrorist movement. They needed to pacify the Bengalis. Nobel Prize for Rabindranath Tagore was an attempt in that direction. Rabindranath Tagore was not known to the West in the first decade of the 20th century. Hardly anybody could have had access to his English edition of Gitanjali. This is obvious from the fact that Rabindranath Tagore was named in the short list of the Nobel Committee for the award of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. It was said that Rabindranath Tagore was known to the Swedish Academy as an Anglo-Indian poet and not either as an Indian or as a Bengali. In addition, Rabindranath Tagore did not visit Sweden or Norway before or after being awarded the Nobel Prize. The British ambassador received the prize for and on behalf of Rabindranath Tagore, and it was confidentially delivered to Rabindranath Tagore at his Jorsanko residence in Calcutta. Had there been no Kutarambos or terrorist movement, perhaps there would have been no Nobel Prize for Rabindranath Tagore. Even hundreds of Gitanjali could never open the passage of Nobel Prize for Rabindranath Tagore for Literature in 1913. Of course, the high diplomatic circles and political decision-makers in London did not like to take any risk and responsibilities, and they decided, more or less during the same period, to shift the capital of the British Raj from Calcutta to New Delhi in 1911.